Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ben Trading Cards. And we have a guest for today, the creator of the new trading card game called Wager of Troops. He's here to give us a demo of the game, and let's welcome Jonny. Hi, Jonny. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, give us a little bit of maybe the gameplay concept of the Wagers of Troops, so we can, or our viewers can understand the whole game. All right, so here it is. Wow, nice, very nice artwork. And okay, so give us a little bit of background of the like a little bit of story on how it came to be like this kind of entertainment setup.
Sure. I'm a game designer, and I my background with gaming is in TCG, CCG style of games.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got into game design, that was our first thing that we got into, was really like making head-to-head style card games. And initially we had created a superhero game, but it just wasn't working out. So we kind of shifted focus to board games, and we actually kickstarted and actually funded a board game called The Goblin King is Angry. Well,
Mm-hmm.
this game, I had this idea where I knew I wanted to do like supernatural kind of uh, fantasy creature monster type things that were trying to fake out humanity by putting on these like performance shows and kind of win humanity's favor by entertaining them. And that kind of like seed got planted in my brain, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I sat on the idea for years and years, and then I decided, hey, I will dip my toes in the water and go back to the head-to-head style game that I'm good at, right? Like that's kind of where I started. That's what I'm good at. That's what I know. And so basically, I was like, I think that I could apply this style of art to it and make the game thematic and work based on what I want to do, and be simple enough for people that play TCG style games to like jump into.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of started me down the hill, and it snowballed from there.
All right. So because I've seen the cards and it's quite unique because it has like a entertainment style with stage, then there's off stage and there's like audience there. And okay, can you give us can you explain to us each card that you have on the
Yeah,
stage right now?
absolutely. So this one up here, this is the audience card. So this is like the resource in the game. It's
Mm-hmm.
also the win condition. So essentially, to win a game of Wager of Troops, at the end of your turn, you have to control 10 audience members. So basically, you're trying to win these over and bring them over into your control. And that also kind of dictates what you can afford to, like, what characters, which are called cast members, and props that you are able to play. So the more audience members you have, the bigger and better stuff you can play. This right here is a theater card. So this you choose when you build your deck, and which we call the playbill, right? And your theater has its own unique kind of thing that it does, and it also determines the main focus of what we call a troop, which some games might call a faction or a color. In this,
Mm-hmm.
they're called troops, and it kind of determines your main focus, the main troop that you're kind of going to be focusing on. I can just keep going through them if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
All right. So this right here is called a cast member. Cast members are your character cards. They're the things that are going to be doing all the work for you, right? Like a creature that can attack or something like that. In this, they're not attacking; they're performing. They're putting on shows. Um, in the top left, you see a number there. That number determines how many audience you have to have in order to play that cast member. Then you have the troop that they're part of. Then you have their name. Then you have a type, which is like I guess like in Magic you have types, and in Yu-Gi-Oh you have types. In this, it's similar thing. Like, so this guy is a Belaya Bravo coach. So
Okay.
if a card keys off of a type, that's what it's going to point to.
Mhm.
Then the top of the text box, you have something called qualities. So you'll see it says star and charisma. Qualities are in-game words that have mechanics associated with them, and they'll always be located at that area of the text box.
Yep.
Star is like legendary. You can only have one in play at any given time, but they also do something where they captivate your audience members at the end of your act, which is the end of the turn.
Mhm.
Charisma is something that puts extra audience members into the foyer. So both players are going to be putting audience members into a general pool or area called the foyer, and they're going to be taking from that area. So you start with 3 in play. Charisma just adds them to the foyer as you're playing. So when you play this guy, he has charisma. So once he enters play, you'll add a audience member to the foyer. Then you have the general text box. Some things are just static traits that are always on, like this, where it says, when this card bows, sabotage a target audience member each player controls. So it's just always on. It's always in effect. Anytime this guy bows, which is turning sideways, you're going to do that.
So it's like removing from the stage, right?
Yeah, so sabotaging means to put it in your backstage. It's the equivalent of destroying or discarding from play or your hand.
Okay.
So sabotaging just means to put in your backstage, which is our discard pile,
Mhm.
which is over here.
All right.
The next thing on cast members is flavor text. So if you like lore and flavor, you can learn about, the kind of the backstories of the characters, or what the world, which we call Terramond, thinks of them, and things like that. Then you have a numeric value in like a pinkish looking box, or
Yeah.
pinkish looking
With a 6.
area.
Yeah.
And that value is basically the equivalent. It's like a combat kind of value, but it's also a value to pay resources. So in this game, performance value is how you pay for something called queues, which is the next card I'm going to be talking about. But it's also the value that you use to the combat in this game is called stealing the show or outperforming.
Mhm.
And you go into something called a contested show. That value determines whether you win that or not. So having a higher value there is important.
Okay.
Then you've got illustration and the set at the very, very bottom.
Mhm.
So yeah, unless a cast member has star, you can have as many in play as you want. If they have star, you can only have one with that name.
Okay. Also, before we continue with the other cards, can you explain the whole playmat? What are the
Sure.
theater, backstage, or the audience, so that we can picture out the once you explain the cards? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
So this is kind of the teaching playmat, and this zone. So your theater goes over here, where it kind of determines theater. Off stage is a zone that's in play, but during the game, one of your actions is to be able to move to and from center stage. Off stage people cannot do that. So if they're off stage, they don't have that option.
Mhm.
So it's just a secondary zone that keeps them from moving. The stage is the main play area for most of your cast members, and then your center stage is kind of where your main focus is. It's like the star,
Yeah.
and they're the
Okay.
ones that are going to be stealing the show or outperforming. And there are also some other effects that say when this cast member is center stage or something like that.
Mhm.
So essentially, while you're playing the game, it's far more beneficial to have someone center stage than to not have someone center stage. Down here, you have where your playbill goes, which is right there, and that's just your deck. To the left
Okay.
of that is backstage, which is the discard pile.
Uh-huh.
Then there's just a zone for your audience members. There's 10 of them, just so you know, kind of where you stand during the game.
That's when once it's full, you win the game, right?
Yeah, at the end of your act. So at the end
Okay.
of the act is what we call a turn. At the end of that, if you have 10, you win. There are effects that can affect that, like this guy here. If he bows, he can actually, destroy that.
Uh-huh.
So there are some effects in the game that can kind of hinder you
Yeah.
from just winning.
Correct.
And then the last thing is sets, which is a prop in the game. And props are, they're kind of like objects. They can go on the stage, or if they have a quality that says costume, they'll attach to a cast member like this.
Okay.
If they have the set quality, they actually go over here and attach to your theater. So depending on what quality they have, they'll either, if it doesn't have a quality, it'll just go on your stage. Or if it has costume, it goes to a character. And if it has set, it goes on your theater. And they all just do different things. Typically, the costumes are going to give your cast members performance boosts. And sometimes they'll even give the cast member different abilities. And the sets can either function on their own, or they can give your theaters different abilities.
So what's the main function of that theater?
The main function of this theater?
Yeah, on that area, yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, so this is the Cirque de Theater, the Cirque de Terror. And this troupe is kind of, they're all about getting as many bodies on the board as possible through acrobats. So they have like some thematic things that play off of the trait or the type acrobat. But their secondary thing is that they repay things done to them twice over, right? So at this theater, what it does is when the opponent goes to steal audience members from you, this forces them to bow someone that they have, which effectively kind of nullifies that cast member that has one performance value or more that's not on their center stage. So they have to bow somebody either on their stage or off stage, which kind of hinders what they can do. And if they don't do that, you get to target and destroy something. You get to target and sabotage it. So basically, it's a revenge card. You're saying, hey, you have to pay a cost to come at me. If you don't pay this cost, then I'm going to make you suffer for it.
So that means the bow is like a tap out, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Bowing just means to turn it to the side, and then you can't use that card for its effects.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. And then you have the dice there on top. What are those for?
Oh, you're talking about these?
Yes.
These are just
counters?
these are just counters. These are only available for people on the TTS mod. In real life, you would use whatever you want, like dice or whatever. But these basically, you just put them on the character if they have like a bonus or something.
Got it. Okay. All right. So let's go to the cards. The next one is the one with the fire.
Yeah. Okay. So this right here is called a cue card. So cue cards in this game are the equivalent of spell cards or like instant or sorcery cards, or even trainer cards in Pokemon. They are the things, like the action cards that you can do, and they're called cue cards. But if you'll notice, they have a cost in the top right rather than the top left. So the top right is the performance value cost. So rather than looking to see if you have audience members down here, what it's doing is it's saying, okay, to play this card, I have to bow that much performance on troop or cast members that I control in order to use that effect. So that says 5, right?
5,
so if you look here, I can bow him and then get that effect.
Oh, so you mean it's 6? No, that card is 6. So
yeah, he's 6.
Okay.
And he can pay for the 5 on here.
If it's 4, so that means you have to bow 2, correct? If the one card is 4, you cannot bow it, right? you cannot use it
If
because the requirement is 5.
Yeah, so what you can do is you can actually add your cast members together. So
Yeah.
if I had something that costs more than like one of my cast members, I could bow more than one.
Yeah.
And in this, what we have something called floating performance value. So
Mhm.
in this instance, if I bow my Grand Cirque to pay this cost,
Yeah.
I've paid 5, but he had 6, and well, technically he has 8, right?
Yes,
Because
correct.
he's got +2 with this. So I've paid 5, so that means I have 3 left, and that 3 is Cirque de performance. So if I had more cues in my hand that were Cirque de cues or
Yeah.
traveler cues, which travelers are the neutral faction,
Mhm.
I could continue playing those cues until I run out of performance value.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And the cues they have an effect on them. When you use them, you move them backstage.
Mhm.
So you just use it and ditch it. Now in this game, we only have one portion of the game that has timing restrictions. In this, every action is instantaneous action, which creates action stacks, if you know what that means. So essentially, I declare an action.
Mhm.
My opponent may react to that, and then I may react to that, and we just continue reacting, and then we resolve the last thing declared first, and then we work our way down. And so in this game, there's no actions, which we call scenes, don't have timing. Instead of like a strict thing, there's only one phase of the game that has a timing restriction. Everything else is instantaneous, right? So unless it tells you otherwise, you can use actions at any time. So cue cards or scenes on cast members. Scenes on cast members will either say scene or bow, depending on what it wants you to do. And essentially the way it works is if a player declares that they're doing a scene, it immediately happens. The opponent gets an opportunity to react to it. And
Mhm.
then so I do something, then they react, then I react to that, then they react, then I react. And once we're done, the last action is the one that is first resolved, and then we work our way down as we go.
Okay.
Yeah, so in this, it's everything is instantaneous unless it tells you a specific time frame that it functions in.
Okay. So, and then if there's like an ability that was used, and if the performer is no longer on that stage, is void, right?
Um, so if they're backstage, it won't function.
Mm,
Um, if so, yes, okay, I see what you're asking. So let's say I declare something with this guy, and then you do something to destroy him.
correct.
Then correct, yeah, like his activation won't happen because it was declared before the reaction.
Yeah, he's gone already. So anyway, okay.
Now in this, you can't just bow cast members just because. So if I bow to generate performance value to pay for a cue, that's fine, but I can't just bow him for no reason. So
Okay.
basically, I have to go, okay, I'm bowing this guy as a declaration of, okay, I'm doing something, and then I show you what I'm doing, and then you get to react to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he's bowed, like that's not going to change because he's paying a cost, right? So if like you were to do something that interrupted this from happening, he would still be bowed because he was paying for a cost.
Okay. So I guess that's the whole. Um.
But we do have one last
Oh yeah,
card
there's a one.
to
Okay,
discuss.
there's one card.
And that is called an aristocrat. So aristocrats in this game are special upgrades. Here, let me. They're special upgrades to your audience members. So if you have an audience member down here in your control, and you have an aristocrat in your hand, the aristocrats have something in their text box called a play condition. And the play condition tells you what you need to do in order to play that aristocrat. So in this case, it says play sabotage 2 cards from your hand. So in order to play this guy, you have to sabotage 2 cards from your hand.
Mm-hmm.
When you do that, you play the aristocrat on top of an audience member you have in your control. So they're essentially upgrades to your audience members. Oftentimes they will have what we call an increase to this number here, which is called the steal value. So when you get into a contested show and you're trying to fight to take cast members from the opponent, there's a numeric value that's associated with those audience members you're trying to take. And the aristocrats often will have a higher value there. They also sometimes will get their own effects, but this guy, his whole thing is he's Arnold the Obstinate and Unoppressed. So his whole thing is he's just harder to steal. He is harder to impress. But yeah, those are the card types.
So it will level up your audience, you mean?
Yep, exactly. It's just an upgrade to your audience members.
So that it will be difficult to steal that audience, right?
That guy makes it more difficult. Yeah, generally they will have a higher steal value, which makes it harder to take them from you.
We need to play this because so that we will know what are the cards that are in here and how to move it to the off stage. So we're gonna do another video for that. So I will go into the TTS and we're gonna play.
Server name is Wager of Troupes TCG.
Oh, it's like what? WOT,
exactly.
what? Okay. All right. So guys, yeah, that's the basic explanation of this game, and it's really cool because this is my first time to see like a stage, it's entertainment, and it's really totally different. So we're gonna play in a different video. So yeah, so thank you so much, Jonny, for your time explaining this. And I'm gonna put some, maybe you can invite them as well with your Discord and also your channels.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So you can look us up on Instagram. Let's see. The Instagram is instagram.com/a wager of troupes TCG. And that has some posts on it that can link you to the Discord. And so we also do have a Patreon that's up and running. It is sold out for product for this month, but for next month we will be restructuring. So
all right, nice. And the Discord has already 422 members right now. And guys, don't forget to check out Wager of Troupes on Instagram and Discord. And thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye, Jonny.
See you later.
See you. Bye.